Well, hello guys, how's it going? And welcome back to End All Wars. We are continuing our campaign, and hopefully we get a victory pretty soon here. As you guys can see, we're still trying to take the northern cities in Belgium from the British and the French, and this is going to be a lot more difficult than I initially thought. We do obviously have Helmuth von Moltke that's actually leading most of these armies. We're going to go ahead and basically just keep doing what we're doing. We've got a lot of cities under siege here, and they definitely need to be taken down. As we look at the western front, we can see that we've managed to push in over here with Wilhelm von Proben. We're going to try and also send Oscar von Zeelander to try and move in here. As you can see, this area is actually under German control. Even the city is under German control, and we're slowly but surely approaching the forts of Namur. This is going to take some time, but I think what we're going to do is actually stay on the defensive with von Wurth, and we're also going to try to take these smaller armies here that don't actually have a general, and I'm going to see what I can do with them. I'm thinking I want to move them here to the south, but also maybe just keeping them in place is the right move. So I think we're probably going to do that. We'll keep this guy in place as well, von Hausen, and basically just try and bring as many reinforcements as we can to the rest of our armies. Now I think we definitely need to go ahead and maybe get some reinforcements down south here as quickly as possible. So I am going to go ahead and actually move over here to von Kirchbach. As you can see, von Kirchbach doesn't actually have too many actual command points that have been used up, so we can definitely try and improve this army as much as possible, try and send over some actual biplanes and see if we can't assist. As we go down south, I haven't done much at all with this army over here with Joslas von Hieringen, and I think I'm going to keep it that way. I do really want to attack the forts of Bremen, but at the same time I feel like we're already across the river. We've already crossed the actual river into France, and if we can hold this area near the Meuse, then we're going to be in a good position. So let's go ahead and take a look over here as well. We'll also take a look at our diplomatic status, although I believe that we did that last turn just to make sure that everything runs pretty smoothly. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Austrian front, and this is where things are going pretty tough for our guys, as you guys can imagine, especially against the Russians. So we're going to try and go ahead and damage the Russians as much as we can. We finally got our men out of here, and what we're trying to do is just get them as quickly as we can to some of these main cities. I think this is going to be very, very important. So let's go ahead and try to escape, obviously, but at some point we will probably do a counterattack. As you can see, we've already taken Radomsk, this area right here, with one of our Austrian generals. The rest of our Austrian generals are still in this area besieging these actual Russian cities, and I think this is going to work out because we're definitely trying to push the Russians on this front. Even though on the southeastern front they're actually doing a lot more damage to us, we're just going to try to keep it that way. Now, one thing that is worrying me, that is going to be the Russian army over here that's actually managed to take this area, Elbing, which is in control now of the Eastern Entente. That's going to be a problem. So I'm actually going to try and take two generals here and merge them together. I'm not sure if it's going to work out the way I wanted it to, but I'm going to go ahead and merge these guys together and create a larger army here and send this army to deal with whatever situation is happening here. The problem, of course, being we are going to be leaving Königsberg completely open, but I think it's worth it. I'm going to go on the assault, of course, and hopefully we get into a decent battle here where we manage to damage the enemy significantly. Now, we're still trying to get Romania to join our cause. That would be incredible if they did. And we're also still here in Serbia trying to take as many cities as we can. Now, as you can see over here, Belgrade is still under Serbian control. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the army of Oskar Potjorek, and we're going to go to Velika Plana. This area is pretty close by, and if we can take the rail yard here, we might be able to inflict some serious damage on the enemy forces. We also have some men over here, some Zeppelins, etc. I'm going to merge them together and see if we can eventually have these guys join an army. For now, we're just going to have them harass the enemy as much as possible. Let's also take a look over here. I believe we've done just about everything we can, but I do want to see if we have any control whatsoever over here. Of course, we still need to get the Turks on our side. That's going to be a big deal, obviously, to get the Turks to join us. But I'm going to see if we don't have any other generals here that we can have join. It looks like right now we probably just have what we're working with, and that's okay for now. I think it's sufficient to carry on the fight, of course. But let's go ahead and take a look and see if there are any actual decisions we can make to change the current situation. Now, it's pretty static. We did manage to do a tremendous amount of damage to the enemy army last time, which is great. And the enemy also did a lot of damage to us. Now, the Austrians definitely need some reinforcements, so we're going to try to get some Austrian line infantry here. But obviously, I don't want to run out of money. I want to see if there are any war plans or any options we can work with. So this is the Goben and the Breslau. This costs 5 engagement points, which I believe we have 26. Yes, we do. 28, in fact. If we do this, at the outbreak of the First World War, the British fleet attempted to intercept the German battlecruiser Goben and light cruiser Breslau. The cruisers evaded the British, passing through the Dardanelles and reaching Constantinople. Their arrival was a catalyst that contributed to the Ottoman Empire joining the Central Powers. We definitely want the Ottomans to join us, so I'm going to sign off on that, and getting the Ottomans on our side would be exceptional. It would be a huge win for Germany. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and hopefully it works out. I am going to turn it over to the enemy now, to the French in this case, and see what happens. So let's go ahead and end our turn and hope for the absolute best. Now, I'm definitely hoping that they take the bait and they try to stop our attacks on the Western Front. If we can take the area after the Meuse and hold those cities, we're going to be in a position to really hold those defensive positions and probably gain more land than the Germans did during the war. But I'm not sure the French are going to fall for that trap. If we take a look at Piotrko or Radomsk, whichever you'd like to look at, they are now German cities. And I'm sure that the Russians are not happy with the situation going on there. As you can see, we've completely taken that area. If we can keep on taking the western Russian area, Vilun, Shokadvich, and Rajozhov, we're going to be able to go ahead and hopefully claim at least a minor victory against the Russians. But as you guys know, and I've told you guys before, a lot of people like to think that the Russians were, not very good in World War I. This was actually not true at all. They had some exceptional generals. They had quite a lot of men, and it was really only until the October Revolution that the Russians actually had a significant loss in manpower and began not to perform so well. Initially, they were doing pretty well, and that's the case here. So let's go ahead and see what happens. As you can see, this resolution phase into end all wars can take a little while, and really that just lets me know that there's a lot that's going to be happening this turn, and we need to be prepared for that eventuality. So let's go ahead and take a look here, guys, and see what occurs. Okay, so we still haven't done much with our ships. We should definitely start moving our ships, and we'll do that next turn. We also want to get our U-boats, which I don't believe we have yet, start moving them in and trying to mess with the enemy merchant fleets. But as you can see here on the Western Front, everything is jumbled up. We've crossed over into France. The enemy's trying to stop us. They're doing an okay job, of course. We've also sent armies in Africa last turn to attack certain capitals. Not sure how long that's going to take. It could take quite a while. As you can imagine, moving through Africa at this time was very difficult. It was not easy. It took a lot of time, and that's the case here as well. So here we go. The Russian force has arrived in Lemberg. They're definitely taking more of this land than I'd like to be seen taken, but there's not really much we can do about it right now, and we're going to have to go ahead and put a stop to this at some point. I might just take these armies. Hopefully they get some volunteers, some reinforcements, and we'll go ahead and send them into battle, but we'll have to see what happens. So as you can see, our army, the French army has actually moved into Tours, and with them in Tours, it looks like they're going to go for a full defense. Also, we've got a ton of Russian armies. As you can see here, they're just dripping out like nobody's business out into Austria-Hungary. And as they continue moving forward, I'm thinking our only chance is going to be to win over there in the Western Russian area, maybe cut them off. And here we go. We've got our battle, and it looks like it's a German defeat at the forts of Antwerp. We were not outnumbered. We actually had more men than the enemy, but I think it's really needs to be about 3-to-1 odds to be able to beat a besieged enemy. And over here, you can see we lost 24,292. The enemy lost 21,730. But I do believe that the Belgians are getting tired of the fighting. There's definitely a lot of fighting going on. They're losing men. Without the French assistance, I think they probably would have broken down already. We just need to hope that those sieges work and that we actually manage to beat the French and the Belgians quickly. Here we go. Beautiful. So as you can see, von Mackensen getting a German victory, 4,100. And remember, we sent this guy down just purposely to try and save Danzig, and it looks like we managed to crush this Russian army. Almost 13,000 casualties inflicted on them. Hopefully, we can get to Danzig and stop them from taking it. Although I think that even the Danzig garrison is going to be able to hold off an army like that. We have to be careful, of course. And of course, we've got King Albert there at the very tip of Belgium, kind of just hanging out, waiting to see what happens. We want to make sure that we win those sieges. That, to me, is going to be the most important thing. Taking Belgium, then we can come down from the north, take some of France, of course, and cause some serious problems. But this might take a while. All right, so the Russians continue to move out, and actually I think they're the ones taking up all this time in the actual video itself, because all of their movements obviously have to be synchronized, and it looks like they're definitely trying to sort of expand over here, trying to get across the Dniester River, and they're not quite across it yet. We need to meet them at the Dniester. Now over here, this was the army that was trying to retreat, and of course it is an Austrian defeat. I just realized that rhymed, so it was a little weird, but as you can see here, we lost 11,000. We actually managed to kill more of the enemy, but you can see the difference in armies here. We've got 62,000 men. The Russians here with 333,000. And we still managed to kill more of them than them of us. But of course, we can't consider this a victory at all. We're trying to escape from Russia back into Austria-Hungary, trying to refill those ranks with some more willing men, and hopefully we can do that fairly quickly. It also looks like those French armies on the Western Front are getting some strength, and hopefully we can do something about that. So here we go. Looks like Luxembourg, if I can hold them there, I'm going to try to keep them out of the war. Well, I'm not sure if by taking Luxembourg itself, if that's actually going to help us. It might be the case. We might actually get more victory points. Maybe it's worth it. I don't know for sure, though. And of course, what I really want to happen is I want the Turks to join us as quickly as they can. We need their assistance now more than ever. To try and join the war, create a new front, and obviously start attacking the enemy from multiple locations. Although we'll have to see whether or not they actually do that. Here we go, some more British transports, guys. This is why we've got to get the Navy out pretty soon here. There was an option, I believe, to unlock U-boats, which I believe is what we definitely need if we want to start doing some major damage to the Allied cause, or in this case, the Western Entente. But we'll have to see what happens, of course. And it looks like we're still in day 6, and look at all this movement by the Russian forces. Unbelievable amount of movement here. Here's another battle, guys, with actually our hero of the front, Albrecht, and we're actually managing to get a victory here. Of course, he's got an army of 390,000, but we did win at the Battle of Briey, not killing too many of the enemy. Well, not by World War I standards anyway. They still have 133,000 here, but if we could take Briey, that would be a huge victory on our side. And as you can see, the front is definitely shifting. We've definitely managed to take a lot of land over here, but of course, this is the early part of the war. It's altogether possible that we get all these victories now, we get all excited thinking we're going to do really, really well, and then all of a sudden the French push us back. But it does look like we're managing to push them back. If we can push them back across the Meuse and take positions there, that would be the best case scenario for us. It would be a lot more like Weltkrieg than it would be like World War I. And for those of you that don't know Weltkrieg, it's actually, I think it's a Hearts of Iron 3. It started with Hearts of Iron 3, but it's a very interesting story that's been turned into a mod. You should take a look at it. It basically is an alternate history of what would happen if Germany had won World War I. So we're going to have to see what happens here. And of course, we're still here at Longwy trying to besiege this area. And in our African campaign, not much is happening, and I don't think much should happen. Remember, the Western Entente controls much more of Africa than we do, and I think committing a lot of forces there is not one of my plans. Now, here we go. Here we've got to be careful near Elbing, because this is where we sent our unit to try and fight off the Russians moving in on Danzig. We definitely do not want them taking that city. As far as I'm concerned, East Prussia is ours, and if we lose it, it's going to be an embarrassment. Here we go, another fight, guys, and this time a German defeat at the Battle of Ghent, unfortunately. And actually, the British Expeditionary Corps managed to kill quite a lot of our men without losing hardly any. That's definitely an issue, and definitely something I'll be looking at. But we definitely want our armies to get to Antwerp. That's my biggest concern. That army in the center, by the way, I'm not sure if you guys see that, 910 now in terms of actual points. We might be able to use that guy to take Antwerp, and I'm pretty sure, I could be mistaken, if we manage to break through Antwerp, Belgium will surrender. I don't know that for sure, but that's what I understand to be the case. We'll have to see if it is. Another consideration is to try to get Portugal to join us because they have a lot of African colonies, and obviously we would take a nice chunk of Africa if we manage to get them on our side, but I'm not sure I want to waste diplomats on Portugal. And actually during World War I, it actually was one of the Western Entente's allies and lost something like 100,000 to 200,000 men, maybe a little less, but certainly did quite a lot in the First World War, at least on certain fronts, particularly the Western Front. And there we go, another German victory at the Battle of Elbing with von Mackensen, only losing 3,000 men, killing nearly 15,000 Eugeni Radkevich's men. And if we can keep that up, the Russians are never going to be able to break through to East Prussia. Although even though they can't break through to East Prussia, we still have to worry about them, of course, taking areas in Austria-Hungary, which they've already done. Przemysl is still under Austro-Hungarian control, but it looks to be fading quickly. If we want to save it, we're going to have to get some reinforcements quickly, and we're going to have to come up with a plan. Obviously, if you guys have any suggestions as to how to move forward with that, please put it in the comments down below. Always like to hear your tactics and your suggestions. And we definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. We can actually see in Brussels that army of 910. Now, that's not the amount of men. It's just the actual attack power. And that's definitely quite a high number. So I might be moving that into one of the capitals. Or maybe I'll move it south into France and see if we can't keep the French on their toes once again. It looks like this month, actually, of all the months of the war, we've actually had the least amount of fights. All the other months of the war, we had a severe amount of fights, and this is late October. So it looks like most of our men got to rest quite a lot. We're going to go ahead and see if that's the case here. And the Polk has arrived in Plock on day 15. Russian army has arrived in Lublin on day 15 as well. This is quite a lot of movement by the Russians. And processing day 15 of 15, hopefully that's all we have to deal with. And hopefully the Turks have joined us at this point, guys. I really hope that's the case. Of course, like we always do in these episodes, we will take a look at the casualty count to see just how the Russians did. And there we go, early November. It looks like the Turks have not yet joined us, although I am going to jump over here immediately to try and see if we can't get the Turks 100%. Look at that. This region cannot be entered. So it looks like maybe they have joined us. We'll take a look here. We're going to send a diplomat to maybe to Italy, actually. If we can get the Italians to join us, that would be incredible. And it actually looks like they're unsure of who to join. So I think we already have a diplomat here. Nope. Western Entente. I don't know why we can't send a diplomat to Italy. A little strange. We could probably send one to Romania, which we really want on our side. Maybe we can send one. Trying to look here. Well, I guess we send one to Greece and obviously try to keep them on our side. But so far, guys, things are going very interesting, to say the least. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at our casualty counts. I know you guys like to see that, and actually I do too. So let's take a look here and look at that. So we've got 610,000 men dead on our side. We've got 35,000 prisoners from the Western Entente and only 1,000 Russian prisoners. I believe we had more Russian prisoners before. I'm not sure if there's a prisoner exchange or if they just die off in such horrible conditions in the camps. So 461,000 of the Western Entente down and nearly 300,000 Russians down in this case. But we've got a lot of planning to do, my friends. As you can see here, we've moved in, we've taken Longwy, we've taken Bruyères, we've taken quite a lot of these areas, Saint-Mihiel, and if we can keep on moving, guys, on this attack, we're going to be in a great position. I actually think these northern armies may be able to move into Sedan, Torem, and if we can move maybe the southern army finally, go on a massive assault, this might be the time to do that. But I'm going to let you guys tell me what you think. Let me know, obviously, in the comments down below, and we will move on from there, my friends. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, and have a great day.